Okay, let's widen our scope a bit tonight. Democratic Oregon Senator Jeff Merkley introduced this resolution in the U.S. Senate, calling on President Trump to formally recognize a Palestinian state. It is the first resolution of its kind, calling for a demilitarized Palestine alongside a, quote, secure Israel. The resolution is co-sponsored by 6 other Democrats and independent Bernie Sanders. Notably absent among those co-sponsors, Oregon's other Democratic Senator, Ron Wyden. While Wyden has called for a ceasefire and aid to Gaza, he has continued to vote in favor of military aid to Israel. Late last week, when we asked Wyden about Merkley's resolution, his office told us, quote, Senator Wyden has not yet seen the resolution. He has long supported a 2-state solution. Merkley's plan calls for an immediate ceasefire, return of all hostages, and an influx of aid to Gaza. He says the only viable path towards a peaceful foundation after those moves is, quote, 2 states for 2 peoples. Merkley's resolution comes just a week after he published this report alongside fellow Democrat Chris Von Hollen of Maryland, which was the culmination of a trip that the 2 senators took to the Gaza border and nearby countries back in August. The title lays out their takeaways in blunt terms. The Netanyahu government is implementing a plan to ethnically cleanse Gaza of Palestinians. America is complicit. The world must stop it.
Yes, I did have the chance to go to Israel, to the West Bank, to Jordan, and to Egypt, and then go to the border between Egypt and Gaza, climb a fire escape to the roof of a 3-story building, get on a ledge, look down on Rafah, and see that a city that not long ago had 1 million people in it, including refugees from the rest of Gaza, has been just reduced to rubble. Not just empty houses with bullet holes in them, but everything blown up. And it was a searing sight. It was one of very emotional moments on a trip full of those moments, starting with meeting with the families of the hostages who are just desperate to see a ceasefire. We need a ceasefire, a permanent ceasefire immediately. We need it in order to get the hostages home. We need it to get massive amounts of aid into a population where the vulnerable people are deep into famine. We need it to create a possibility of building a better future for the Palestinians and the Israelis.
Along with meeting the families of Israeli hostages, the senators visited a community near the Gaza border that became the site of one of the worst massacres during the October 7th attacks. They also visited the country of Jordan, where many humanitarian supplies are stored in warehouses before being loaded onto planes and then dropped into Gaza. Merkley says sending that aid on trucks is the best way to get help into the country. But Israel has crafted a maze of red tape to stop trucks from delivering aid, leading to airdrops. The senators were denied entry into Gaza during this trip and a previous trip last year.
But then we were scheduled to fly with a Jordanian plane that was dropping humanitarian aid into Gaza. And it was canceled as we arrived at the airport in Jordan to take off. The C-130s were all lined up, all loaded, all ready to go, and they canceled it. And our assumption is they canceled it because, again, they didn't want us to witness what was going on. That's why I considered it so important to climb that fire escape, get on top of that 3-story building, get on top of the ledge, and look down and see what had happened to Rafah with my own eyes. It's one thing to see satellite photos. It's another to see it in person and understand this is part of the strategy of ethnic cleansing, not just evacuate buildings, but blow them up so people can't return. I really want to emphasize this is not a good future for Israel or the Palestinians. Israel is engaged in actions that are war crimes. It is turning Israel into an international pariah. I have been a fierce champion for Israel. To be the Jewish homeland, to be supported with economic and security aid. But the same values that brought me to be a champion for Israel are bringing me to be a fierce voice saying what they're doing now is wrong, because this is now the exploitation of another population, the Palestinians.
Merkley's resolution to have the U.S. recognize a Palestinian state comes as world leaders are in New York City meeting as part of the United Nations General Assembly. Just yesterday, the United Kingdom, Canada, Portugal, and Australia formally recognized a Palestinian state. Britain said for its part, it was because Israel failed to agree to a ceasefire. But Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu reacted to the move by those countries, saying the establishment of a Palestinian state, quote, will not happen.
We will need to fight at the UN and in other arenas against the false propaganda directed at us and against the calls for the establishment of a Palestinian state. That would endanger our existence and serve as an absurd reward for terrorism. The international community will hear from us on this matter in the coming days.
During today's UN meeting in New York, France announced it too would recognize a Palestinian state. Israel's ambassador to the United Nations responded and also seemed to dismiss any chance for a ceasefire, saying his country will finish the job when it comes to Hamas.
You know, I listened very carefully to the speeches today. Many leaders said we expect Hamas not to be part of the equation in the future. But no one actually explained how it's going to be accomplished, because they know it's only on our shoulders. That's the duty to make sure Hamas will be out of the game. So we will continue, we will finish the job, and we will create a better opportunity not only for Israelis, but also for the Palestinians in Gaza. We want to finish this war. Don't be mistaken. We have no desire to stay in Gaza or to prolong this war. We want to finish with it. But what we saw here at the UN, it's actually supporting Hamas. It doesn't support ending of the war.
Now, when it comes to Senator Merkley's resolution to have the U.S. join the chorus of countries recognizing a Palestinian state, it does not look likely. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said in a briefing today that President Trump disagrees with nations recognizing Palestinian statehood, that it does nothing to end the war. President Trump is expected to talk about it tomorrow when he's scheduled to address the United Nations, and we'll be watching.